we're the team to beat. We're 5-0.
We sure are, baby.
We've handled the Cardinals last week. It was probably closest loss we maybe had yet. That game came down really right to the wire, but we handled it. And whether or not the Cardinals made a bad decision, whether when Kyler Murray slid and whatever he was thinking, a win's a win.
Yeah, win's
and we're sitting here 5-0 with a pretty big game again this week at home against the Cowboys. And other than that, pretty weak schedule still for the next couple weeks. We got the Steelers, the Texans, the Commanders after that. So
who put this schedule together? Oh man, yeah, it's terrible.
Well, I think this Dallas game will be the telltale as far as not how far you can go for the year, but I think Hurts is getting rushed a little bit too much, and I think they really miss Mailata.
Oh, they do.
So you got to protect him more, and Hurts is averaging 13.6 carries a game. He's been sacked 11 times. And that's on pace for 231 carries, and the NFL record is 176 by Lamar Jackson. So,
wow.
But now you have to look at the other way, too. 7 of his carries for the 1-yard type things for 3rd and 1 and at goal line situations, but just got to keep him healthy.
It seems like he's had a lot of scrambles this year. A lot of just quick QB scrambles trying to get 1 or 2 yards, something like that.
Well, I think that's where your offensive line has been.
When you see him bench lift, whatever it's called, squat, 650 pounds, I almost couldn't look at it. I don't know if you saw it or not.
I have
John.
not seen that.
I had a hard time watching it. Here's his looks to be little guy, and he's got 600 pounds on his shoulders, and he's doing this squat, and he's got 1 million people in back of him just in case. You look at the size of the weights, Chad, on the bar and what the bar's doing, and it looks like he's picking up a Coke machine. Actually, that may not be fair to the Coke machine. That may be lighter. The bars are bending down, and this son of a gun squats that, comes back up. You think he's capable of 4th and inches? I mean, the drive he's got, he not only is the offensive line terrific, best in football, and by the way, that is so contributory to why the Eagles are the best team in football right now. I did say best. I do include Kansas City and Buffalo. I'll jump into that. But whoever put the schedule together, I'll just say this. Forget who they've already played that are a bunch of jokesters. And, yeah, we'll say this week it could be a good game. When you go Steelers here, Texans away, Commanders, Colts, Packers here, Titans, Giants, Bears, Cowboys there, Saints, Giants. Could it be a more ideal schedule, Coach?
Oh, it looks fantastic.
No name brand team except your division rival, the Cowboys, of course. Anything can happen in that game, but they've handled them well. You don't have KC. You don't have Buffalo. There's not too many. In the NFC, I asked both you guys, we talk about it being diluted. I'm getting ready to get the stamp out that says frauds. Do you think Green Bay is a good team now?
No, well, he misses a couple of receivers.
Yeah. They're still a good team. They're still a good team. Rodgers is capable enough of making them good as long as he's there.
Lost to the Giants?
Well, clearly the Giants are better than a lot of people thought now.
You don't think they're going to hit a sustained losing streak and flatten right down to a 500 team?
Well, if Saquon Barkley's going to have a great year.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, all of a
It was
sudden.
a very dismissive, for the fact that a running back can carry a lot of offense, and if they're doing that good.
Okay.
And the whole thing with Rodgers is just a bunch of young guys. He's got to get time to get those guys trained.
Okay.
Exactly where he needs them to be. Look for Green Bay to have a really strong second half this year.
Do you have any question whatsoever that the Eagles will retain home field advantage with best record?
No, not a doubt, because their schedule's terrible.
Nor do I.
They're going to be 8-1 or 9-0.
Well, I dove in a little bit. This is what all you need to know about the Cowboys after we beat them. They then play the Packers and the Vikings away, 0-2. The Vikings then play the Bills, Green Bay, and I think I wrote down Dolphins or Dallas away. Then the Eagles play away. Texans, the Colts, the Giants, the Bears, and the Cowboys. Boy, talk about a gauntlet. We're going to be, I've said this now from week 1, we're going to be at worst 15-2, 14-3. People are laughing at me, by the way, each week I say that. Will you sign off on 14-3?
Oh, I would love it. Like I said,
sign off on it.
No, because of the injury factor.
Okay, so what do you have? I'm 14-3. Let's put it on record. Good.
I'm going to go 12 and 5.
14-3. 3, but
I think 13 wins is fair. I think they'll have 13-4 probably.
12, 13,
my
14.
guess.
Yeah. So that I did that for a reason. All of those compilations are home field advantage. And who could you possibly fear in Philly right now to project a little bit? Don't say the Rams. Right?
Well, I mean, the Cowboys 2 games.
Yeah.
You've got, right?
Bud, who do you not want to see come to town to play us NFC Championship game?
The Packers.
And sometimes it's going to be depending to get near the end of the year, how important it is to the team coming in for their playoff possibilities. And if they've already clinched their conference, and they might not be playing, it's tough to.
I'm going to make Tommy proud, and I see him smiling right now, Tommy. You little geezer, give me a nice team, meet you at the back exit. After the 19 points allowed opening day, San Francisco, when they had the other kid quarterbacking, the young guy,
Trey Lance.
They have given up 7, 11, 9, and 15. I believe that computes to 11. Garoppolo he's serviceable, better than Wentz. Not as good as our guy, but their defense is real, and I think they get a few guys back, and they are formidable on defense. I think better than us. I don't know that I would call our defense formidable. Would you?
Formidable, and I'll tell you, that kid Deebo Samuel's on offense. He can do anything.
Yeah, Chad? Formidable?
Yeah, I would say it's pretty tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really strong defense. I mean, they really don't have a weakness when you look at that like anything glaring at least.
Right.
They're really, really strong.
I know one thing, man. They cover for the first time ever. The 40 plus 47 point differential is tied with San Francisco in the NFC. Buffalo point differential plus 91. And by the way, I don't know how many injuries Kansas City has this week. The line opened up at 1.5. Buff at KC. When's the last time you saw Mr. Mahomes getting points at home, bud? It's up to 3.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, Buffalo.
Any public pushed it to 3.
You look at Buffalo's scores, though. I mean, last week, 38-3.
Yeah.
Just an absolute blowout.
Yeah.
What was it, 31-10, the Rams, 41-7. I mean, their wins, they've had some really big wins.
I'm going to tell you a misleading stat. Last week, Buffalo won 38-3 over the Steelers. The Steelers had the ball 12 more minutes than Buffalo.
Good catch.
Wow.
I mean,
That's crazy.
You saw that, you go, wait a minute,
How?
what's wrong with this? 3 points and you
Wait a
had
minute.
And they only had.
Are you
And the Steelers only.
plagiarizing my text 3 days later back to me? You did this last week. Are you? No, I'm only kidding.
Hold
That's
on,
a good catch.
with that
I
in
put that out
mind-
there. I put that out there.
With that in mind, what if I told you the Steelers also only had 54 rushing yards?
Yeah. Right.
That's not exactly running the clock.
Boy, I'll tell you, I would like to say, do the Steelers ever stink? The reason I won't is that my terrific son-in-law is 40 feet from me over there driving Grimley Financial's new business development and doing a great job of it, and he's a Steeler fan. So I'm not going to say they stink out of respect.
No, let's do it this way. Be nice then. Is it possible that Tomlin might have his first losing season as head
How about
coach
what
of
he
the
said in
Steelers?
the post-presser last week? He goes, we got blasted. We got blasted today. Coach, you sure did. So if we're looking at the assessing the Eagles, where's the weak spot?
Well, it's not in the quarterback. It's not in the receivers. It's not in the running back. Not in the O-line. There's the offense. Defensively, the D-line's pretty solid. Cornerback's solid. I think the new safety we got from the Saints is going to be pretty good as he continues to get better. I really don't know. I mean, the linebacking core maybe, but I don't think and I don't think they have a weakness when I look at that team. Like I don't see a weakness.
Well, I
really.
want to tell you one, I think, a little bit. If you want to go back to that game last week against the Cardinals, when they played out of zone, there were 2 or 3 plays. You saw Ertz one time with no one within 10 or 15 yards of him. And so you got to tighten up that a little bit there.
I'm going to give you a hypothetical, guys, only because I like to see the game not just played fairly with the rules. I like to see it officiated fairly from being an umpire. When he slides, I'm going to try to take the kid off the hook a little bit. You're watching the play from a spectator standpoint. You knew immediately 2 things. You knew the rule that if he dives, okay, he's entitled to. But if he slides, he's going to get the least favorable spot. and you knew it was not a first down watching. He does not have that perspective.
Correct. He definitely thought he had a first down.
Jumps up, looks at the sideline, and they're telling him to down the ball. So he's totally off the hook. Could the NFL, thanks, Chad. Chad's playing it for us. Yeah.
It almost looks like he has the first down live.
If you look at his feet, right?
It really does.
But this will be cool if Jimmy's putting us up there. But then the police are going to catch us again, and we won't be up. We'll be taken down for 5 days. Here's what I say. Could the NFL institute a rule or policy that in that situation, they'll stop the clock just to reset the ball and look at the measurement? Because it is close. Now, apparently, if you can see it, Bud, the sidelines were not so confused that they ball marked, or whatever the guy's called, the down marker.
Yard markers, yeah.
Yard markers did not hesitate. They ran up, spiked it, and were ready to go because of the clock and the time. One could say, well, they gave you all the help you need. They showed you it was a half a yard short. So then you got to blame the Arizona bench. And the coach would say, what did I get from upstairs? Somebody ultimately, I want to meet the person who was in the headset that said to the coach, spike the ball, because I don't think it's coach. Now, I'm the coach. I'm moving down the sidelines with my play, with my yard marker. I see he's short. I don't care what's in my headset. I'm yelling, you got to play. Let's go. I don't know.
Well, the only cop out for Murray there, supposedly someone said it was a first down, whether it was a side yard markers or somebody up in a booth. So,
that's what I mean by spike the ball.
Yeah, so then it made sense if it's first down, he's going to spike the ball, certainly.
You missed a good play.
But he doesn't.
That's what I meant. The whole trial was when he was told it was first down.
Yeah, so he's doing it and not thinking it's third down. All of a sudden it's 4th and 1, you got to do the kick.
No, I wasn't trying to indict him. I was saying that the process for Arizona didn't work. You know, all the protocols and process they have in place has to work there. You don't lose a game because your quarterback doesn't know whether he's got a first down or not and spikes the ball on 4th down, right? I mean, that's just – and the way he runs, you don't know it's just a field goal. He could drop back on the next ball, take off down the left sideline and get in the end zone. You don't know. So as you're assessing lucky breaks for the Eagles along the way, and all teams get them, there's been 2 this year that have been pretty magnanimous. But that's a big – I just thought it was a shame for him, you know?
Well, another thing ironic –
the thing with Kyler, though, is – he has to know I can't slide here. I have to power through.
Agreed.
And get it.
Come on,
you've seen
man.
Jalen do that.
Take
You've seen
a
other
hit,
quarterbacks
kid.
do that. Like Jalen's done that a lot this year, too much actually. Where you think, hey, don't hurt yourself.
Can you share with Alan?
You have to push through and get hit there.
Can we
and get
see
the
how
first
big a
down.
hit he's going to take right there? Just do the replay again and just turn that a little bit. Yeah.
I mean, he would have.
He's going to get his bell rung. No doubt about that.
Probably.
He's going to get smoked if he goes head first. No
yeah,
doubt
I mean,
about
probably.
that. Yeah.
It's like, can quarterbacks start to pick up the fake slide? You've seen that in college, worked every now and then.
But you still got to do it. You got to get that first down.
You know what's ironic,
too?
too?
Get the first down. Yeah, it's on Kyle at the end of the day. Got to get
if
the
that
first
was
down.
the Eagles with 4th and 1 there, and with a new young kicker, you don't know. I think they're going to do, and I think maybe with the TV showing the kicker for Arizona missing in practice to the right all the time, they kept replaying it. Don't they think afterwards we're 4th and 1? I think our odds were better on a longer field goal than to go for it 4th and 1.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just I felt so bad for him, and you also wanted to see a good ending, an exciting ending, right down to the last second, you know. And you see him spike the ball, and you go. Reminded me of who am I thinking of for Washington in a playoff game or Super Bowl where he intentionally threw the ball out of bounds on 4th down to stop the clock, and it was 4th and 1, and I forget the quarterback. Anyway,
if it was current, I'd say Wentz could do that.
Did you see? Speaking of Washington, okay, take me to the Washington coach. And his comment on Wentz, they asked him what's wrong with the team, and he says quarterback. You know, he didn't hesitate. He says quarterback, and it didn't get any reaction apparently in the locker room. But he still walked it back the next day because it's kind of a crappy thing to do. Just call Wentz up. So, coach, what do you think's the biggest thing that other night? He goes quarterback. Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah. How do you really feel? How's that going to travel to Wentz? Apparently, it was not received too well, and so he did a little bit of walking back.
Carson might have another 1-year career with the team.
So let's prognosticate a little bit. Buffalo's now a 3-point favorite at Kansas City. Who's winning the game, Coach?
Buffalo.
Wow.
Yeah, I think they're that strong all around, and if they can put pressure on Mahomes, although Mahomes he's still a magician. When he did a couple things last week where he throws that sidearm pass in between guys.
It's a laser.
How does he do that? How does he drop down? And a guy's coming in with his hands up pass rushing. He drops down and throws it into your armpit. And he throws a
And you're taught as defense to keep your hands up. And there's a ball whizzing by underneath your armpit. Yeah, I'm just trying to illustrate. You're like
I'll
this.
just forearm this Mike. And he throws a seed on a guy's armpit.
I think we're going to see the Bills win just because I think the Chiefs have had a really tough schedule so far. The Raiders aren't easy. Bucks aren't easy. They had the Chargers, the Colts, Cardinals, all respectable teams. I got to think they're a little worn down at this point.
Can you give us who the Bills have played? I'd like to hear that next.
Yeah, the Bills are 4-1. They have played at the Rams to start the season. Then they were home against the Titans, at the Dolphins, and at the Ravens. So actually the Bills, and then home against the Steelers. So the Bills have had 4 respectable opponents, safe for the Steelers last week.
Ooh, sorry, Dean.
So now we're sitting here. Both teams have played a lot. The Bills are going into their off week after this game under their bye, and then they have the Packers.
Speaking of Sports Nation, thank you for your attention and loyalty. We're not at the end yet. I just wanted to get your attention so you'd pay attention to next. I want to call it a declaration or a proclamation. What's the difference between the two? I'm going to teach the older guy and the younger millennium a lesson. Buffalo has gone from a 1.5-point favorite to a 3-point favorite. I'm not asking you to support this game financially. Enjoy it. Kansas City is going to win this game as long as it's at Arrowhead. And I'm pretty sure it's at Arrowhead, but they're not in London or they're not playing in some other place in Europe or Tahiti on an island. If this game's in Kansas City and there isn't a key injury to something that I'm not aware of, and that could be why the line's up, Tommy knows better. But if it's pretty much status quo as far as injuries, Kansas City, Mahomes will take it so personal. Reed will have him prepared. And they're going to win this game, and I don't understand why Vegas would jack them from 1.5 to 3. When Vegas
following the money,
when Vegas moves a game that much early, it's telling. Okay, now unfortunately I know this.
Well, it's just showing where all the bets are going. All the bets right now are sitting on Buffalo. They're going to up the line.
All right, so we know John Q. Public doesn't know a damn thing. Don't we know that well? So it's the syndicate or smarter money. They call it smart money, early money, and smart money, moving that line. So the syndicated money is moving that line. What do they see that we don't? I don't agree. You do agree, though, right?
Well, I think Buffalo's big win last week it's easy for people to look at that and see how good they're playing right now.
How dominating they were.
And say, hey, I'm going to put money on Buffalo. And Chiefs had a what was it, the Monday night game? It's a bit of a shorter week.
Yeah, true.
They kind of snuck by with that win there. That's probably what we're seeing, where you see this really big win.
Good point.
And all of a sudden Monday, I don't know if this is true, but all of a sudden Tuesday morning comes around and the line starts moving.
That's it. They're coming off what we call like baseball when you have to throw, high stress pitches versus they're coming off a high stress game one day and they got to come right back. Yeah.
Now last time they played, it was Buffalo at KC in the 2021 divisional round. Chiefs won 42-36.
I just want to throw something in anecdotally about the Eagles that we did not cover, a bit remiss. So you look at the schedule, they had to have an emotional game against their old coach, Peterson. He comes in with Jacksonville. Jackson was playing at that time very good defensively, right? So let's call that a very emotional game. Would you give me that, Coach?
Mm-hmm.
Then they go and play Arizona. You got to go cross country, West Coast, and everything that goes with that West Coast mentality, okay? On deck is the Cowboys at home, where you're already fired up when the schedule comes out in July. That's a sandwich. They played their worst game of the year, still managed to win, still 5-0, with their sights on And you know this happens, the Cowboys. Is that a fair narrative? Trap game, fair narrative, but they win it. And that's what the good
That's a sign of a good team.
Sign of a good team. Wiz, you going to sign off?
Yeah.
So we're going to talk any college football.
I have a nice college stat for you.
I love it.
Shout out to the Dukes of James Madison, the first time ever in the top 25.
Really?
Wow.
There you go.
I guess I'm thinking of basketball.
I mean, James Madison's always had a nice program.
Right.
You know, they played Delaware, Villanova, and whatever. But
I'm sorry. The Dukes of. I tuned you out. James Madison.
Yeah.
I thought you said Duke. I was going, they've been in there
No,
before.
Dukes and
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
top 25. How big is that for? I mean, they're Division I, of course, to be in that pool.
Now,
you know.
can I come back at you a little bit?
Sure.
Cincinnatiism is what it may be. It means absolutely nothing, right?
No, it's just a great
How did
recruiting tool.
Yeah.
How did Cincinnati do last year when they were number 4, number 5?
Cincinnati's a team that has great athletes every year.
Okay,
Kids that go to the pros and this and that, but they don't seem to.
How'd they do in their playoff game?
Yeah.
Yeah. You could drive a few tractor trailers and aircraft carriers between the final score.
Yeah.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, please be aware of these fraud teams. I know they play well in their division. Hats off. Man, speaking of the fraud stamp, Bud, will you get the fraud stamp out for it? You know what I'm going to say? Take a shot. Rutgers. Oh, Shadow. Oh, brother. You know, is this going to be like the Flyers? You know, maybe next year. Is that where we're going with Rutgers? Last year they're going to be better. Maybe they were.
Something in the paper today about all the money, and it's going to be a little investigation again up there.
I heard. I just read it. I just read the headlines. But Nebraska, you know, new coach, and disorganized, and losing to teams like Northwestern and whatnot. Wasn't that your sweet spot to grab your home win?
But the fraud, I just thought, the biggest fraud has to
hear
be
this.
Oklahoma.
Yeah,
49-0 to Texas, and that's a big rivalry. And I mean, Lincoln Riley left as coach and went to USC.
What the hell?
And got a couple guys in the portal, but I mean, to get beat by your big rival, 49-0.
Yeah, you know, and BYU knock it off. Notre Dame sent you back home pack, and you're not ready for that level yet. And Notre Dame's not particularly great this year. They don't really have a quarterback entrenched in. But is it just a matter? And Bama didn't look good. Of course, they didn't have the quarterback. Texas A&M had a chance to redeem all the preseason talk between the coaches. Did you see the play selection at the end of the Bama-Texas A&M game? And I think this is maybe how we can spend 2 of our last, 4 minutes?
Well, 4, we had a rant.
Got it right. But once again, guys, what is going on when the coaches first and goal from the 1 don't know what to do? The Texas A&M ran an outplay that was at the 1-yard line on the last play of the game. If the guy catches the ball, he's out of bounds at the 1-yard line. He did not, but if it had been successful, it didn't matter.
You know what's funny about that game? I watched it with you.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that. And we only had 2 drinks at dinner, right? It was a hell of a good dinner at the Cap Grill. But there you go. We're on a new schedule, and he is the absolute godfather, junior godfather. Coach, read it up, baby.
You got it.
Go. Back to you, Wiz.
It's on me? All right.
Yep.
I'm all rave this week. There are no rants when the Phillies are 3-0, sitting here in the playoffs.
Rave about them.
Up 1-0 against the Braves. Huge game 2 today. Today, right now, if we win this series, I don't know what the odds are. I'm sorry. If we win today, I don't know what the odds are, but they got to be 90% chance we win this series. Today, game 1 was critical. Game 2, I'm even more hyped for now. We're going to go out there. We're going to show Kyle Wright that he's wrong. We're going to beat him today.
Excellent.
Never been right.
21-5 this year.
You have a song for that, Al?
It's time for his 6th loss tonight or this afternoon against Zach Wheeler.
Can you face the camera? We want them to see how you get a little beat red. You see it? You see it, Coach?
Yeah, nice little color.
Yeah, his little alabaster complexion gets a little cheeky red when he gets.
It's just a great time to be a Phillies sports fan.
Yeah, it is.
I mean,
Absolutely.
besides the obvious with the Phillies and the Eagles, I've been paying attention with the Sixers. Maxey's even getting better. They're a lot tougher team. And the Flyers, they start this week. We'll end it there. But the soccer thing with the Philadelphia Union, A lot of fans with that, and congratulations to Jim Curtin, the coach, on their fantastic season.
Yeah, I got to go after the big guy here. A little bit of my rant, Angelo Catalbi, who I do love, and I've listened to for 30 years. There's my endorsement there. We were supposed to debate Tuesday. We had a hellstorm between getting up and getting there. We were 10 minutes late. We had to get rescheduled. Should be Friday or Tuesday next week.
Next Tuesday.
Next
probably,
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Angelo ranting last week. I'm trying to get in the right time slot Friday after we wake up and find out that the Phillies are in postseason. He was basically, to be fair here, to recapitulate in a fair manner, he was saying, what's more important, Eagles win and the Phillies lose? Like, so what, big deal? And the callers that were staunch Eagle callers were going, no, Angelos, knock this off. The Phillies, you kidding me? It's postseason. I had to finally call in and say, listen, I got to tell you, I'm actually calling in today angry. And I've never called sports radio angry. Come on, it's sports radio. Call for the fun of it. I was angry. I said, yeah, you got to knock this crap off. The Phillies haven't been in the playoffs in 11 years. You're missing the vibe of the city, and you pride yourself on capturing the vibe of the city. He said, Chuck, I want you in studio to debate. We tried. We'll be out there next week. Because the reaction to the Phillies from Eagles Nation has been everything I would want it to be on a personal level. I mean, hey, I applaud the Eagles fan. I don't think there's this big distinction. I'm going to take a little extra time that everybody thinks. In other words, Angelo wants you to think there's 4 million Eagles fans and there's, 300,000 Phillies fans, like a cult following, and none of them overlap. Where in the World Series, several times at home, where the Eagles played at least one time, and as we were going into the stadium, Wiz, you remember the Eagle campers and all the tailgater paraphernalia were taking off their Eagles jerseys to put Phillies jerseys. So I was talking to them, and they were saying, no, we're all from Kensington and here. We're the same people. We're passionate about the Eagles and the Phillies, Now, I'm not going to get into the massive numbers of NFL ratings and the 98 million viewers versus 11 for baseball and stuff like that. We're not arguing that the NFL product is not bigger. But then, kids, if you've gone to school and you're past third grade, some economics teachers taught you about supply and demand.
Past third grade.
And when you got 7 home games to watch, or 8 or 9 home games to watch, and the other team's got 81, what does that do to supply and demand? You think when you have a scarcity of supply, it drives up demand, guys, football, and you can't compare that type of metric sampling. It doesn't lend itself to comparison, okay? In many ways, apparel, Phillies are number one. Why did more Harper jerseys sell than the quarterback of the Eagles? Why, Al? I don't know. I'm on my rant. I can't really ask you wait, right? Yeah. What's that tell you? We're down the shore on the boardwalk, and it's September, and more Phillies hats walk by than Eagles. I'm not insinuating that Phillies Nation's bigger. The parades were identical. Nobody wants to say that everybody was down in the stadium, hopped on the subway, went down to the other end of Broad Street to be at the close. It wasn't 3 million. An engineer told me 3 million people that'd be falling into the Delaware River. He couldn't accommodate 3 million people in a parade, by the way, in Philly. So a lot of it's hype, a lot of it's make-believe. Just respect both teams. They're in the playoffs. It's a good thing. Come on, Phillies. Come on, Eagles. That's the way you should have approached it. Stay tuned if I get my chance, because we're going to drum them up. Is that it?
And by the way, you have a little more redness in your cheeks right now.
I feel
that,
yeah, because you know what? I was really pissed off.
Save some of that enthusiasm.
Yeah, I will. Trust me. Go Phillies. This is great. It makes every day better. The weather's great. Come on, man. How do I get all of us?
As always, speaking of sportspod.com. Get us on Twitter at Speaking of Sports. Our email, speakingofsportspod@gmail.com. Or check us out on Facebook, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, wherever you want to enjoy the show. That's where you'll be. That's where you'll find us. And this is part 2. We're closing out part 2 of our 2-part series here. First half was baseball, second half was football.
If you enjoyed us today, please subscribe. I know it's like 10 seconds. Labor. Just do it, please. Appreciate it much. I love the text. I love the call, 609-828-5569. If you're an Eagles fan and you don't like baseball, shame on you. Call me. Tell me I'm nuts. Vice versa. We want to hear from you. And go Phillies, man. I think
Go Philadelphia.
Oh,
I think they get to the Dodgers. I really do. That's unbelievable. You know what they say, Coach? Wiz? What do they say in the postseason?
Anything can happen.